Welcome.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Massimo Daul. Hit me up. My email is 21mdaul@ndirss.org. Love to hear from you guys. I'd like to start off by reciting a poem. Actually, every year I keep kind of meticulous notes about feelings, thoughts, and events in a notebook. That's my phone. And I kind of let it culminate into a bigger piece towards the end of every year. And I think that as of last year was a very moving year for me, something where I grew a lot and I think cemented a lot of the ideas that I'd like to talk about. So I'd like to read the poem. Ivy can cut, but not tomorrow. Verona, old school, dripping sorrow, and I'm still screaming, Father, pray. And he does care, but he does not respond. But his shoulders bear my aching heart. I love the way you listen, stay, you glisten, but you listen, pray. I couldn't paint your kitchen, hear your wisdoms, or keep your children's name. And Virgil doesn't know shit. And your skirt lifts like my eyelids, but your kisses are too silent, so I forget you're there. He had too much time in the closet that I'm talking to the coats. And now he's starting to revise all his old suicide notes. And now he's screaming at the walls off some suicide dope. And now I'm screaming in the mirror, but my words can't cut my own throat as intended. I don't write in full sentences, back to jaw thoughts, but more split than a bento is. You act interested, but only 10%. Smiling at my face, but no contact where hands have met. Why are we competing? To see who can come the closest to burning out, like Kurt, the cigarette. And Metro North is too cruel, like Jacob back at my school, underage in high school, you don't smoke like you used to. I love spending time with the people in love, with the people in love, with the people they love. But there's not enough time for the ones above, with the people they love who weren't strong enough. I hope that I'm strong. Thank you. As an introduction, I titled this piece Ivy because that's an idea that I've been working on for about 2 years now, which is like an obsession with like the arts and mathematics, human culture as a whole, something that I think is very elemental, like earth or wind or something else from Avatar. I really enjoy it, and I think that like all the things that we've created as society should have its own category and its own name, and that's something that's really driven me to grow into myself over the last few years. Anyway, as an introduction, I was born in Milan, Italy at 2:22 a.m. on November 22nd, 2002 in Mangiagiali Hospital. That's me with my mama at our small apartment in Milan, and I moved away from there when I was a little under 5. We lived first in Philly for a while, then Rochester, New York, bouncing between there and a little outside of New York City, and then moved to Maine, where I studied conjugation in 6th grade, where I lived for a while. I have been to around 10 schools, including pre-K, including homeschooling at a couple different places, both mom and dad. And it's been kind of hard actually to like change environments and cultures so much. But I think it's really brought me closer to my family and closer to myself. One thing that was interesting is my relationship with my father, which I think is been kind of the main driving force behind my future. And my relationship with my father is kind of complex. For the first half of my life, he was not like, he was around. He was not married to my mother because they kind of only got married for the tax benefits, like a little later. But they love each other very much, and they're monogamous. But because he was at medical school, and whenever he would be home, he would be very, very tired and very, very mad and angry. And I think the environment that he grew up in was not ideal. And I think he didn't really know how best to handle having a family of 4 while working, 70, 80-hour weeks at medical school, living on food stamps. it's kind of tough. And he's a genius. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met, and he really instilled in me, or shoved into me, the like mathematics and science and literature and arts and being educated and being having a complete character. So as of last year, I think I grew a lot. Sorry. I went through a lot of familial change, you know, with people moving in and out of the house, family members. My own family is very constant, and I love them. But, you know, people are growing up, because I'm like halfway through high school. A lot of things are changing. The pressures from my family to do well in school were all of a sudden kind of met with a backlash for some desire for, you know, more music and arts, which were supported, but only in their academic mindset, which is difficult to create. And the stresses were getting very intense, and I think that I took it upon myself to try to find some stability in my life. And I found that actually a lot, definitely through music. This is a video that is very, very dear to my heart, that makes me almost like tear up every time I see it. This is my buddy Julian Serene, who lives in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and he's a very close friend of mine. And I read a poem to him, one of my poems, to him and his mom, and he enjoyed it very much, I think. And so he turned it into a song. It's called Song for Massimo. This is performed at Brooklyn. At So now we got to talk about some of the other things. You know, this is my family, my friends, and the music and the art and studies that have, like, I think made me stable and made me into who I am, like someone that's ready to go forward. You know, all the people that I love. This is an interview I did. Less of an interview and more of a continued conversation for the past few years. This is Thomas On, who used to go to the Harvard Middle School, then moved to Massachusetts. And for Christmas, he sent me some candy and some quotes from the Bible to stop my sinning, I think. And his responses to them. There's one that really stood out to me, which is this one from Matthew. For all who draw the sword will die by the sword. And his take on this was that responding to aggression or sword war with aggression of your own only draws you into that destructive cycle, and it'll kill you. And I had seen the thing happen with my father and his father, and the times, you know, that they would get into fights, and like my dad has challenged me to fight him before, and was monumental. A few weeks before we left for Christmas, he was really mad like that, and he got up in my face, and I stood up, and he realized that I was a lot, very physically bigger than he was. And for the first time ever, I was up like this, we were both so mad, and he kind of backed away, and that made me feel so terrible. Did I seriously just stare down my own dad? Oh my God, what am I doing? So that was running through my mind a lot, and this, I think, really stuck it into me, and we've been doing really well ever since. I think that, I just try to think about aggression and how to deal with those scenarios without falling into its dangerous trap. This is the future. This is an acceptance letter to a school, to a program called UWC, which is United World Colleges. It's a 2-year international baccalaureate colleges at 18 locations, where as an American student you get a $25,000 scholarship to study somewhere at a school for 2 years anywhere in the world, surrounded by around 200 other students from every different country imaginable, which is pretty exciting. It's took me about 2 years to apply to this in terms of writing and then not applying and that kind of thing. And I think it's going to unlock the rest of my life. So these are some of the actions that I've been taking to propel myself along the career and the future that I want to have. I'm taking differential equations at COA. I was there today. I've taken, I think, 4 AP classes and 5 AP tests. Taking another one this spring. I have a Jackson internship. I have to thank my father for that, definitely, for instilling the value of academics in me, because it's made me a good student, and it's made me really grow to love them, even though sometimes I think that they can get in the way of having experiences. They take up too much of your time. And then after building a good academic background here, I'd like to go to UWC to reach my cultural and academic background. It's actually incredibly rigorous. It's an international baccalaureate program, which is requires oral examinations and finals, and it's pretty hard. Next, for college and grad school, I want to go to the University of Milan. That's my dream school because it is $2,000 a year, with a math program in English and arts programs in Italian, which I will be a good chance to work on that. It's $2,000 a year. I'm really not about to say that again. It's not $60,000. That's $2,000 a year. So I'd like to take it easy for undergrad, go somewhere cheap and have a good time, just experience everything, try to enrich myself culturally, and then gain a solid math background. And I'm lucky that I'm interested in that because almost most universities have a solid math program. It's one of the foundational layers. Next, I would like to apply to Columbia for a PhD in computer science mathematics. And I don't really want to write it, how much that's going to cost, because I don't want to think about it. It's very, 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 very expensive to attend that school and to live in New York City. But I think I'd be able to stay with some family, hopefully. But overall, what I want, hopefully where the trajectory will take me is as a computer science mathematics contractor, working, probably on projects. I'm more of a projects-based person. So that would enable me to either work remotely or to travel to make all the listings on the jobs and jobsite.com. The average incomes are around $100,000 a year, which is pretty major, pretty capital. That would be awesome to be able to have that kind of money to sustain my other hobbies. And that's it. That's where I want to be.
Questions for Massimo?
Do you have any specific focuses in the computer science and mathematics? Because I know that you're working on neural nets at the lab.
Yeah, so I think that what I'd rather have a general education and degree, but some of the things that are my personal interests are some of the neural network mathematics, which is abstract algebra, matrix operations, which are pretty interesting and pretty fun. It's very pure. I also really like algorithm research, which is just interesting, a branch that I enjoy. So yeah, it'd be cool to try to get a job working on that, but that's kind of niche. So I'd rather just have like, maybe I would use like something finances, or I could be doing like, it's really it's safe and I like it. So.
How much does it actually cost?
It costs like it depends a lot because I had to factor into housing. I haven't asked my family if I can live with them. I mean, it's gonna be like 8 years away, hopefully. So or 9. So I won't ask that right now, but I still have to get in. But I think that Columbia is like $60,000 a year straight up. And what do you mean 70? Are you sure?
I was just looking at it.
Okay, great. It's $70,000 a year straight up, and they have merit and need based.
That's with room and board. If you're on campus.
Okay. So yeah, sorry, 60, 70, probably. I don't know. They don't like me that much.
49,868 for an undergrad. So for graduate school, it's probably 55.
Yeah, I would believe it. But sometimes this reading was enticing me with if I get into like a lab or a program under like maybe an apprenticeship, I could actually maybe get paid to go there or make some money as like a job while doing the graduate work. So we'll see. It's all about connections, I think. More. Let's read. Alex.
Would you ever consider doing more with poetry?
No.
Why not?
Yeah, Jacob.
I can continue to keep it as a hobby at least? Like,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, I think that being able to write music and poetry is something that's very special to me. I don't, like, I've seen the lifestyle of creatives in the music and poetry scene, and I think that's a dangerous lifestyle for me to live. I don't think I would do well. I think I would die, like very young. And like it sounds really fun to me, even as I'm saying it. Like just to play jazz and write poetry at some bar in New York, die at 25 from hopefully a gunshot. Like it sounds so fun, which is why I shouldn't do it. But yeah, thank you for asking me. There's more. Yeah.
Well, what about, have you ever done any readings? Have you done?
Yeah, I'm actually
like,
published in a couple books. I've done readings at open mics in many places, performed both poetry and music. Yes.
Mhm. What's it like hearing your friend perform your words?
It's inspiring. Like it's crazy. It's the best. And one of the best experiences of my entire life is when someone requested it. Someone who had been to another show, they said, "Can we hear a song for Massimo?" And I was like, Massimo. Those are my, and he always says, every time he plays, he goes like, "This is out to a very special person for me." And I think like if I can have that impact on somebody, and have that impact on myself, like people bringing together these creative ideas, that's just something I always want to keep with me. Yeah,
What's that background picture?
This is a photo I took of Fuzuoka, Japan, in Wazuka, Kyoto province. It's a tea farm. That's like I was staying there. This is the little slope. Pretty special place for me. The most beautiful place I've ever been. Second most beautiful place I've ever been. The most beautiful place I've ever been is like where like at my old house in New York, like where the sidewalk was cracked. There was like these little grass leaves growing up through it. That was so pretty when it like would rain. But that is the second most beautiful place I've